Hi. Okay, I just wanted to offer my understanding of type and strategy and authority. Um, and okay, so type, strategy, and authority refers to our individual type and strategy and authority as humans. And to put that in context, we are humans living um, on this plane and navigating this plane. And in human design, um, it is proposed that we all have a unique and individual way of navigating this plane. And if we follow that, then we can basically avoid being asleep and be awake, if you will. And type, strategy, and authority refers to ours as individuals, as humans, living as a part of this collective society. And so we call that the Maya. So the Maya is like all of humanity, and the Maya has a background frequency, which is called a program. And this program is the background frequency, and it also changes, which in 2027, when we enter a new paradigm, that background frequency will be changing. But for now, just know that there is a background frequency, and also, as humans living in this Maya, we are susceptible to conditioning of the program, and also conditioning in terms of, let me give you a specific example, like the mind. And then this also is going to relate to when we say type, strategy, authority. In this particular context, I'm speaking of inner authority and outer authority with regards to our minds and making decisions. There is other authority, like there's splenic authority, there's emotional authority, there's all different kinds of authority. But for now, in this context, I am speaking of your mind and using it as an inner authority versus an outer authority. And this is to discuss conditioning. So we all have a mind, and we tend to use our mind to make the best logical decision that we can based on the information that we have to do what we think will produce the best outcome, right? That is using the mind as an inner authority, and it's using it to make decisions. However, human design offers that our bodies are designed to make the best decisions for ourselves. And we each individually have a mechanism for making these decisions for ourselves. And number one, to use our mind to make decisions is no bueno. It is not correct. And it is a product of conditioning. The way that we should, that word. It's funny because anytime that you are thinking of making a decision and you hear yourself say should, that is a clear sign that you're using your mind as an inner authority to make a decision. And you don't want to do that if you're trying to follow and experiment with operating the way that human design proposes, which is to use your type and your strategy for making decisions. So our minds as an outer authority would be to communicate. Like right now, I am using my mind to speak to you, and then you're using your mind to input this information, right? To understand it, to comprehend it, to think about it, to process it. And that is using our mind as an outer authority. It's just like to exchange information, to learn things, but not for decision making. Now, what should we use for decision making? That would be our type and our strategy. And there are 4 different types we have. And these types are energetic types, if you will. It explains how we can use decision making. We can use our bodies for decision making to result in having, for generators, for example, the best use of our energy. And before I get into the specifics of each, no, actually we'll just go into it. Okay, so there's 4 types. We have generators, which have a subtype of manifesting generators, but manifesting generators are still generators. We have manifestors, we have projectors, and then we have the reflector. I say the reflector because out of 100 people, 1 will be a reflector. So, and then generators, on the other hand, make up 70% of the population. And generators are energy generators. They are the life force of humanity, and it is a very powerful concept to understand that as generators, we generate so much energy, and this energy, when we do operate according to our type and our strategy, and when I say operate, I mean make decisions, then we are just making the best use of this energy, and we are not, feeling depleted, unenergized, and just like miserable. We're like miserable, right? So yeah. Okay. So we can go into each type and discuss its energetic signature. So the generator and manifesting generator, they generate lots of energy. We have motors in our body, and the generator's motor is just this like motor that produces a bunch of energy. And the auric field, I want to say you could call it your aura, but again, we have to redefine aura within this context. So it's kind of like your auric energetic field. That of a generator is open and enveloping. Okay. So it is like just open, it's enveloping, it's magnetic, it brings things into its auric field because it's open and it's enveloping, and you are, as a generator, just like going through this plane, and things are just coming your way. Lots of things, all the things. And amongst those things that are coming your way are things that are aligned and meant for you. Like they are for you. And then because there are so many things, and because your aura is so open and so enveloping, other things will come into your auric field that are not for you. And the way that you can decipher or decide to make a decision about what is for you and what is not for you is to use your strategy. And your strategy as a generator would be to wait and to respond. So something comes in your energetic field, you feel like, ooh, I like that thing. That thing could be a career, it could be a job, it could be what school to go to, it could be to not go to school, it could be a person who you might be attracted to, like a life partner. It could be deciding to be in a conventional marriage or not be in a conventional marriage. So it's all these things, right, that are a part of life that result in decisions. And these decisions end up, making like the movie of our life. So, because life is just like a series of decisions, what city to live in, all of these things, right? So, again, the part that is not negotiable is that the auric field is open and it's enveloping and things will come into it. Now, if we are using our mind as an inner authority to respond to these things in our energetic field and make decisions, then that will lead to, I don't know, perhaps you've done it. Perhaps you said, I should marry this person. I should take this job. I should live in this city. Right? So that would be making decisions according to your mind as an inner authority and under the guise of conditioning. Excuse me. The alternative to this is to trust your body and to use your inner authority. Now, your body, according to your specific type, has an authority. I won't get into that right now because there's a specific one for each of us. And also, I feel like that discussion should be around the 9 centers and how each one operates and whether it's open or just that we're going to table for now. We're just going to keep this super simple. Okay, so that is the generator and the manifesting generator. The manifester has an auric energy field that is closed and repelling. So closed, and repelling. The manifestor strategy is to act and to inform. So manifestors do not wait to respond like generators. They act and they inform. And just to give you an example of this, while this isn't a big life decision, I just like it as an analogy because in my head, it's exactly like how I see a manifestor, right? Okay, so like if you go to a concert with your manifestor friend and you're like in general admission and the band and the stage is up there, the manifestor will decide, I'm going to the front row to that stage. So what they do is they just tell those around them, like all the other concert goers, they're like, excuse me, do you mind moving out of the way? Because I'm going up there. That is the acting. Acting is going straight to the front of the stage. And then the informing is to just let the other people know, because those other people are going to be affected by them because they're walking through them, right? And so to relate this back to your life, if you're a manifestor making a decision, you are going to act, but you also should let the people around you who are going to be affected by your decision know. That is all you're required to do. Like that is all that is asked of you to make this decision so that it is in your best interest and alignment. Okay. Next, we have the projector. The projector has an auric energy field that is very focused and absorbing. And projectors are, I'm going to give them a role. I should have given the other two a role, but I'm going to stick with projectors and then I can go back to the other two. Projectors have the role in our humanity to be guides. They are here to guide us. Generators are like the builders of society. So think about like the generators are that energy for, like they have the energy to do the work. They have the capacity to do the work because that is their energetic design. The projectors have a very focused and absorbing auric energy field, and they're here to guide us. They don't have that kind of energy like the generators do to be building. They do not have that. They will be very burnt out if they do that because they're like a non-energy type in that way. Their success comes from guiding. Now, their strategy, when I say guiding, it's because they are the masters of mastery, okay? Projectors are extremely knowledgeable, and they're just masters of mastery. So the thing that they, end up mastering, they're a master of. And as projectors, we need their guidance. As generators, right, the builders, we need their guidance. You could think of them as like an architect on site where the generators are the builders. We need like the architect or the supervisor, I don't know what it's called on a construction site, but like the person who's there to guide and make sure that these builders are building things properly. So projectors, their strategy is to wait for the invitation. What that means is that their strategy is to wait and to be recognized, like somebody else will recognize them as a master in whatever they have decided to master, and they will recognize them and then invite them to be a part of the process. And that is their strategy. That is when they are in alignment and they are operating according to their type and their strategy. Again, authority we won't go into just to keep this super simple. Okay, so we've covered the generator, the manifestor, the projector. The generator is to wait for things to come into its energetic field and then to respond. The manifestor acts and it needs to inform those around it. The projector needs to wait for the invitation. The last one is the reflector. I hesitate to talk about the reflector because obviously I am not one and I don't know what it's like to be one, but I can just offer what I have learned and understand of the reflector. So the reflectors, remember, they have completely open centers and they're not like an energy type like a generator or a manifestor. Projectors are also considered a non-energy type. So reflectors can sense everything in their auric energetic field. And their field is kind of like this. This is like how I envision it, right? Because it's open to sensing everything in its field. And so it will sense those things, right, through its energetic field, sensing, and then its strategy is to wait a lunar cycle, meaning the reflector is very much connected to the moon. And so they are supposed to wait a lunar cycle to respond. And this is referring to, again, back to those like really big life decisions. So, for example, like, where should I live? Should I start this new business? Because that comes into their energetic aura field, and then they have to make a decision. And that decision, it's recommended that they wait a complete lunar cycle because they are very aligned to the moon. Now, the question is always like, when does that lunar cycle begin? It begins as soon as they are like stimulated by and asking the question of themselves, like, should I live there? Should I be with this person? Should I start this business? Should I take this job? So from that time, you wait a lunar cycle, which is like 28 days, maybe 29.5 to be precise. But yeah, so you wait a lunar cycle and you make the decision. They also have this sensing auric energetic field, and they have the ability to reflect back to the group, for example, what they are sensing. So that's another, I think, very interesting aspect of reflectors, is that they can sense what is happening in the environment of like a exchange, a group of people, or even with a person, and then they can reflect it back. So those are the 4 energy types. And those are the 4 types and strategy and authority for now, just the way that I explained it. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions or if that made sense or not. And yeah, thanks. It was fun to explain.